Artists create stuff from their mind for their own selves or for their own concepts of the world. We're not there for that. Designers aren't there to do that. We certainly have those same ideas, but we're working under constraints all the time. We're working with someone else's ideas. We're working towards something. What if? Is it possible too?
Designers don't just mediate the vision of someone else. That is one role that designers do, and they get paid for it, and that's great. But designers are also intelligent, critical thinking people. And one of the great skills they have that they develop above the general public is this strong ability to communicate visually. And that's a very powerful tool.
Design presupposes a discrepancy between a situation as is and a situation as it ought to be. Unless there is a discrepancy, there is no need to change it, there is no need to design. So design aims at changing our environment or a situation from a current condition or situation that we don't like to one that we do like and desire.
This department is very student-friendly. We really care about students, and the faculty are very involved and very hands-on. They have national and international reputations, so they bring those experiences into their teaching.
Many of the instructors are working designers, and we stay aware of what's happening in the industry and what the standards are.
There are small classes in design, which is not what people expect when they think of a large research university like UC Davis. Maybe in the beginning students think, oh, well, where can I hide? I just want to sit in the back and be quiet. But that's another strength, I think, of the program. In design, you really have to learn to project who you are. You have to know yourself, and I think our students do.
What we try to do is introduce the students to the design process. That is, how do you decide what are the parameters or the limits upon which you're going to create some object or environment. And so how do you think about design? How do you pull pieces and parts together to make it something that's appropriate and responsible and effective?
The process of a research university is that there needs to be something that's adding to the collective understanding of the world. Because the university requires original thinking from the faculty, that's what we want from the students.
We don't necessarily focus on specific areas. We provide tools in thinking in design. We're not teaching people to come up with formulas for thinking. We're trying to expand what they're doing so that when they encounter a problem, they have many ways of thinking about the problem.
The possibilities for interaction between the components of this school are wonderful. It's very, very exciting to team students up or have joint students, bring people together and learn from each other's disciplines in the pursuit of a common goal.
You're getting a taste of a lot of different design disciplines and design areas. You then would maybe choose to focus in one, but you're still going to get a good, basic, solid grounding in that discipline. You might not explore it in the level of detail, but I think you're going to explore it in a much more general and more open-ended way.
What am I trying to do here? What are the factors that are impacting this space, this design, and what are then the resources I can use to develop this design in a very focused way?
There isn't a clean line, if you like, between where architects stop and the interior designers starts. Interior designers usually inherit what the architects have done, and usually it is the spatial arrangement of the interior space for specific functions by the occupants of the building.
The centerpiece really of any design program is Design Studio. It's a sequence of quarters, and the sequence gets increasingly demanding and complex as skills and sophistication grows. And really, it has to do with the simulation of real-life problems.
It has focused in a kind of a linear way on a variety of spaces, starting with residential, and then small-scale commercial, and technical spaces, and then institutional spaces, and then office spaces.
There are a host of support courses in history and crafts like model making, materials and methods of construction, and all of these things are complementary to a holistic approach to an interior design education.
Lighting design includes electric lighting and daylighting. It's the plan through which you will provide illumination to experience and perceive the space and also to function within the space. The students learn the placement of windows and skylights along with glazing and shading systems to provide proper solar control and adequate daylight, and the complementation of this daylight with electric lighting to provide ambient lighting and task lighting to be able to do specific tasks. Well, lighting at UC Davis, again, I said because I think that it's the only place on the West Coast doing this level of research, development, and teaching, all combined through the California Lighting Technology Center. So it's the uniqueness of the California Lighting Technology Center that I believe makes Davis a special place to study lighting.
Most of the people on Davis campus are science-oriented. But because of the Lighting Center, there's a real way for people to make the link between science, technology, and the things people use, and that's called design. With that firm concept, I think they now see why we're important.
The program is well integrated, comprehensive. It has some very exciting things that make it unique. And whether they want to get an entry-level job or whether they want to go on to graduate school in architecture or some other field, I'd like to think that here at Davis, we prepare students for the future.
It's stuff that gets printed and gets thrown away, but at the same time, it communicates, and it communicates to a wide audience.
Have a great social impact. It can cause people to take action. Simple things like buy something or send somebody a birthday card, but more complex, interesting things such as vote for a certain person or take political action.
It's a very broad and expanding area. It's probably one of the few design disciplines that is actually increasing in terms of its application rather than staying stable or actually decreasing.
Visual communications focuses on the relationship between text and imagery. And it could be two-dimensional, it could be print, it could be three-dimensional. But the underlying component is that it deals with how the public perceives the relationship between text and image, how it's read, and how, as we designers, convey that to the public.
Students who continue on into visual communication would move into the typography class. Then they might start working with layout and publication design. And then there are classes with more advanced application of publication design, maybe designing posters, brochures. There's also an exhibition design area that crosses over between interior architecture and visual communication.
Exhibition design is about exploring the communication of ideas, the presentation of objects, or the dissemination of information in three-dimensional form. It has an element of visual communication in terms of presentation and presenting ideas in a logical and clear way. But it also is very rooted somewhat in architecture, because you're dealing with space and you're using materials and you're using form and scale to express ideas too.
For screen-based, we focus on HTML, CSS, Flash, and After Effects. We really look at what happens when you add time-based and interactive elements to what you're already doing with image and type.
What we do with our students is insist on high-quality visual presentation. Plus, are you getting a message across? Is there a depth of understanding that's coming through?
The visual communications program here offers an ability to still explore some of the other areas that influence a particular design discipline. We're not pigeonholing students into a certain design discipline right from the outset.
That's the advantage of our design program. It allows for exploration and discovery. It allows you to sort of try things out and see what speaks to you, where you excel.
Can you imagine a world without textiles? I think it'd be impossible. Textiles are like a second skin to us. They're absolutely essential, and they cover everything literally from cradle to grave.
Everybody uses textiles, and everything that we wear has been designed by somebody. Every element of physical culture, creature comfort, it's every soft aspect of the environment.
We have a very unique program. There are not many programs like ours in the country, and certainly in the UC system, we're the only textile and fashion program in the UC system right now.
The textile major here at Davis now would take some introductory classes in hand-constructed processes and personal adornment, and then they would take beginning sewing and pattern drafting classes, and then they would take textile surface design and advanced construction.
We teach how cloth is used, why it's used, what it can and can't be used for, and the various textile processes and the various kinds of textiles, how they are used in specific circumstances.
It's certainly in textiles and fashion, there are those that are interested in art to wear or clothing that's not so functional, but has that conceptual aspect to it. But we also support a lot of students who really want to get involved in the fashion industry or textile industry.
Or we may have students that are looking at the print as a medium, whether it's textiles or paper, flat or three-dimensional, as a way of communicating information.
A trade school for textile design or fashion design is really geared specifically towards industry. So the idea is you go there, you learn specific skills, so it's very technically based. At a program like UC Davis, you learn some of those skills. You don't learn all the skills, but the idea is that you learn how to learn the skills, and you also learn how to think. And I think that's the biggest difference.
We don't demand that students go in one way or another. We encourage them to find their own voices and their own creativity and their own style.
And the idea is getting a well-rounded education as opposed to a very specific, isolated skill set. So I think that is a big difference. And I think in the long run, our students benefit from that.
Our program cares about its students, and that our students learn what they need to learn, and that they learn it in an environment that's very supportive. I'm not sure you get that everywhere.
Produce designers that think, designers that challenge how practice is done. They're not necessarily interested in just doing what they're told, they're interested in challenging what they're told to do.
There's no other place in UC that you can study these things, where you can come into contact with them and where they're going to be taken as seriously as they are here.